My name is Kevin, and for most of my adult life, I thought I had it all. I was 36, working in marketing at a steady firm, deeply in love with my wife Mia, who was 33 and managed a small boutique downtown. We had two children, Owen, 9, and Ava, 6, who lit up our home with their curiosity and irrepressible laughter. Mia and I met in college, fell for each other quickly, and married soon after we graduated. At first, I believed we were soulmates, an unbreakable partnership. About a year ago, I started noticing small changes. Mia used to call me from work if she stayed late. It was routine for her to text around 5 p.m. telling me she'd be home soon. But slowly those messages got more sporadic. Some nights she'd return at 7 or 8, apologizing that she had to handle an inventory shipment or deal with a demanding client. She seemed exhausted and preoccupied, but I assumed her boutique was just busier. We also had a tradition of Saturday outings, going to the park with Owen and Ava, then cooking dinner at home or occasionally seeing friends. Lately, though, Mia began skipping them, claiming she was burned out and needed downtime alone. The kids found it odd that she'd hole up in our bedroom or rush out without telling me exactly where she was going. Yet she'd appear at bedtime to give them hugs, ensuring they saw her only as a slightly frazzled but caring mother. In the past, Maya would often greet me with an easy smile, maybe even a playful remark about how we'd spend the evening. Lately, her warmth seemed forced or absent. We still had a decent sex life, at least by my standards, maybe once a week, though it felt mechanical, as if she was completing a chore. She'd often avoid eye contact, ending each encounter with a quick, "I'm tired." Rolling over to sleep, I tried to talk about it, but each attempt was met with a gentle shrug or an excuse. "I'm just not feeling great, Kevin," or "work is stressful." I swallowed the discomfort, not wanting to pry too harshly. I told myself marriages go through phases. Maybe we just needed a small getaway. Yet I couldn't shake the intuition that something was off. It wasn't merely boredom or fatigue. There was a guarded look in Maya's eyes, a faint tension whenever her phone buzzed. One Wednesday afternoon, I decided to stop by Maya's boutique as a surprise. I'd gotten off work early and thought it would be nice to pick her out so we could have an impromptu dinner date. When I arrived, the shop was already closed, a back in 30 minutes sign taped to the door. That was odd, because her posted hours said she wouldn't close until 6. I peered through the glass. The lights were off. Confused, I waited outside for a while, but she never showed. That evening, she returned home at 7:30, apologizing about a supplier mix-up, claiming she had to chase them across town to retrieve lost stock. Something about her over-detailed explanation struck me as rehearsed. After she went to bed, I decided to glance into her phone. We didn't have a habit of snooping on each other, but the knot in my gut told me to check. It was locked behind a brand new passcode. That locked phone, so suddenly private, hammered at my suspicions. I confronted her about it gently the next morning. "Hey, I tried to check if you texted me last night, but your phone's locked now. Everything okay?" She gave me a quick laugh and said, "I just changed it for security. My shop details are in there." No big deal, but the tension in her voice suggested otherwise. A few weeks later, a traveling exhibit arrived in town. We had planned to take Owen and Ava to see it, but Mia said she couldn't come, something about a friend needing help. So I took the kids by myself and ended up having a wonderful day, except for that nagging sense that Maya was lying again. When we returned at dusk, I found Mia in the living room, so lost in her own thoughts she didn't hear me step in. She was texting, unaware that her phone's reflection was mirrored in our turned-off TV. By sheer coincidence, I saw the words, "Love seeing you today," typed out. Then she noticed me and fumbled the phone, face lighting with guilt. I asked calmly, "Who are you texting that you can't just tell me?" She stammered, "It's just a coworker," and rushed off. My heart thudded. The kids were right behind me, chattering about the exhibit, so I couldn't chase her for answers. But I realized something decisive had to be done. That night, after the kids were asleep, I told Maya we needed to talk. She was defensive, claiming I was paranoid. We argued until midnight, going in circles, her accusing me of invading her privacy, me insisting I was just worried she was hiding something. She swore up and down there was no one else. Eventually, we both turned silent, angry. Unsure how else to proceed, I decided to hire a private investigator. It felt like a dramatic move, but I needed real answers. Over the next 2 weeks, the PI sent me updates, grainy photos of Mia meeting a man in a quiet bar across town, them leaning in close, driving off in his car. My stomach twisted at every image. His name was Ethan, evidently divorced with no kids. The PI's last photo sealed my fate. Maya leaving a motel at 10 a.m., adjusting her clothes, Ethan right behind her, hands on her waist. I confronted Mia one Monday morning. I remember the sky was still pink with sunrise, and I just couldn't wait any longer. I showed her the photos, demanded she come clean. She cried, seeing the evidence. Yes, it's Ethan. She admitted she'd met him months ago, started out as harmless flirting. Then it escalated into a few times hooking up, growing into a steady fling. She claimed she loved me, but felt trapped in routine, that she needed excitement. She said she was sorry, that it was all a mistake. My fury boiled over, but I also felt heartbreak more than anger. I told her this was unforgivable, that our marriage ended the moment she decided to be unfaithful. She begged for another chance, tears pouring. She'd break it off. She'd go to counseling. She'd do anything. She insisted it was just physical, that in her mind I was still her true love. Those words hit me like an insult. Love doesn't hide in motel rooms with a stranger. Love doesn't tear a family's trust into pieces. I left the house for the day, heading to my parents with Owen and Ava, telling Mia not to speak to me except through a lawyer. She sobbed, but I was too numb to comfort her. Our kids at first had no idea. I just told them we were staying at Grandma's for a bit. My father quietly asked, "She cheated, didn't she?" I nodded. He patted my shoulder, understanding that no more words were needed right then. I filed for divorce within the week. Maya tried to call me, text me, everything. I refused to respond. My attorney suggested we do mediation for the sake of the kids, but I wanted nothing more than a clean break. In court, we arranged custody. The children live with me. She gets them every other weekend once she moves out. Mia wept, claiming she never wanted to break up the family. Her tears, I realized, were for herself. In the months that followed, we sold our house. I moved into a smaller townhouse not far from Owen's school. The kids adjusted slowly, sometimes asking if Mom was coming back. I'd kneel beside them, steadying my voice. "No, we're not living together anymore, but Mom loves you. She just can't live here." I didn't elaborate. They'd discover, in time, of a real story. Mia moved to an apartment near her boutique, but Ethan apparently vanished from her life. Rumor says he moved on to a new job in another city. Maybe she lost everything for a fling that didn't last. I don't gloat. I just focus on raising Owen and Ava. My parents help, and I see a therapist who's taught me about accepting heartbreak. My love for Maya died that day I saw her motel photos, but my heart still ached over the life we once shared. That ache no longer controls me. Now, I find small joys, cooking dinner with my kids, discovering new reading clubs at the library, letting time heal the raw wounds. Infidelity has a way of burning illusions to ash. But from those ashes, I built a steadier sense of self, determined never to let betrayal define me forever. EPILOGD. It's been a year. The divorce is final. Mia occasionally sends me messages about trying counseling, but I don't respond. We communicate only about the children's schedules and well-being, and that's enough. I might date again someday. Maybe I'll trust another person again. But for now, I'm content to keep life calm for Owen and Ava. They're healthy, blossoming in our new routine, and that's what matters most. People asked if I regret discovering Maya's affair so bluntly. I don't. The truth was ugly, but living in ignorance would have been worse. In losing her, I found clarity and discovered an inner resilience I never knew I had. My story doesn't have a fairy tale ending, but it's a story of survival and fatherhood, and that's good enough for me.